Ryan, any decisions yet on who's going to start Saturday and how that's going to be held?
No, you're talking about that quarterback. I'm assuming.
Yes, sorry, yeah, quarterback. Yes.
No decisions on who's going to start right now. They both will play. Both have been sort of splitting reps with the ones and the twos, and both have been doing a great job. They add different elements to the offense, and we can have success with both of them. Running sort of this style. So we'll kind of see how this next week plays out when we're getting it more in depth into the game plan, and go from there.
From a defensive coordinator standpoint, is there a schematic or a strategic advantage for you guys this week that Northwestern doesn't know who's going to play, or how much they're going to play, or when they're going to play?
Yeah, that's a good question, because obviously, like the information you have on Ryan Brown is how well he can extend plays and hurt you on the ground with his legs, just because we've asked him to do so the last couple weeks. And you look at Hudson's productivity the last 2 years. It hadn't necessarily been on the ground, but we haven't really asked him to do so. And so the thing that I like about both of them is the game plan wouldn't really change much. And so I think if I'm a defensive coordinator and I've seen the 2 games with Ryan and basically the last year and a half with Hudson, I would be more cautious about being aggressive in the quarterback run game with Ryan in there. So does that mean that they'll change what they do? I don't think so. They kind of run what they run. You look at the last 2 years for them as well, and they've played some quarterbacks that are athletic and do like the RPO game and the zone read game. They don't really change much. They'll mix in a couple different calls or features, some calls that are already in their system a little more. But they play what they play, and it's a primarily split safety defense, so you have that extra half a hat in the run game to be solid with the quarterback pulling the ball.
Jason was just saying that from his standpoint, one of the keys to making this work is having a plan that both guys are bought into, I guess, essentially. And you mentioned last week that you thought maybe Hudson and Ryan had sort of a special relationship in that regard. Can you expound on that, why you think that this might work with them, where I suppose with another pairing there might be problems?
Yeah, with those 2 guys, there aren't any egos. They both root for each other when whoever's in there. There was a play at practice where Hudson hit a long one, and you see Ryan Brown throwing his hands up in the air, behind the huddle. A couple series later, Ryan escapes the pocket and hits like a 60-yard run for a touchdown, and Hudson's back there, high-fiving and putting his hands up. So I think that's why it works. Hudson's been able to sort of see Ryan's growth, and not only on the field, but just from his maturity, the way he studies and actively participates in meetings. I think Hudson has also appreciated the way Ryan has captivated the locker room, and his energy and is infectious, and definitely gets the guys going, and he can provide a spark just from a mentality standpoint. And I think both of those guys sort of have played well off of each other this last week.
I know when seasons aren't going the way people want, they always look to the coaches first. Like, how does a coach fix this? At the same time, the players spend more time alone or with each other, or probably without you guys.
Mm-hmm.
What are some examples that you're seeing of I guess, people stepping up and keeping the right attitude, the right vibe going that you need for these final 5 games?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with, obviously last week there was a lot of noise, right? Bye week, and sometimes, X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, can get crazy, and a lot of things are said that aren't necessarily true. And so when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, that can shake a locker room. It can the negativity, the whispers, all of that I have seen shake a locker room. But it didn't with our guys. They came out and had a great amount of energy this past week. And usually during a bye week, especially this time of year, I don't care how the season is going, it can be pulling teeth sometimes to get guys to practice the right way. And not one time do we have to prod or pull them or push them to go. And we had a physical week of practice. We were padded up all 3 days. Really focused on us improving as a team, and so that meant going good on good for 3 days in a row. And when I say it was physical, it was very physical. Thursday got chippy, and so usually when you see that, the guys have been bought in and are even more so now than when we started camp. And so I just think it speaks to sort of guys maturing on the team. We do have a lot of young guys that are getting experience, and some of those guys have spoken up. And it's also guys like Mo and Devin Lockaby and plenty of others that are like, okay, enough is enough. Like, let's get going in the right direction. We've made improvements incrementally, and now it's time for those improvements to show up in the win-loss column. And so I couldn't be more proud or more happy with the way they've attacked this week. And yesterday we had a Tuesday type practice for Northwestern prep. Guys were locked in, they were focused, and got after it. So as a coach, you couldn't ask for anything more than that, especially given the circumstances.
Ryan, I think your only experience using a 2-quarterback system or alternating quarterbacks was at Northwestern last year. What did you learn about kind of having to handle that with Bennett and Ryan last year, and how maybe you can use this to your advantage?
Yeah, I think last year's circumstances were a little bit different, just because you had a guy down and didn't know which direction to go. Now you've got 2 guys that are available and healthy, and so just like I said, I just think that they have a lot of respect for each other and don't have any egos. So they wouldn't bat an eye if I said, hey, so-and-so is a starter and you're going to take all the reps. They wouldn't bat an eye if I said, you guys are going to split reps, or you got a special package where you'll both be in there. They want the team to win and trust us to make the right decision to give us the best chance to go do so.
Yeah, I think obviously Ryan has talked about that experience last year helped him when he was going to start this year, but now he's had 2 games as the guy. How much more comfortable are the playmakers around him with him when he's in the game?
Oh, they're extremely comfortable. Obviously, I thought we were able to move the ball against Oregon. Obviously, couldn't get points on the board. But they operated well in the huddle. Like he's got a presence about him, and they're comfortable and encouraged by what Hudson brings to the table as well, especially with what we're doing right now. So, I think, like I said, both those guys will be able to do a fantastic job for us, and I highly anticipate both of them, playing well when their number is called on Saturday.
You have George listed back on the depth chart as a 3rd tight end. Obviously, CJ, are you kind of getting back to where we've got the playmakers that hopefully this offense looks like we anticipated it would in the preseason? Yeah,
George is back like unrestricted, as is CJ. So those guys are here, and we count on them for a reason, and it's just good to see them back playing football. Injuries and setbacks can put you in a dark place from a mental standpoint. So to see those guys smiling and enjoying playing football again, that's what you want to see. And they've been in extra meetings and have really been busting their butt to get back out there. So it's good to see them back out there on the playing field.
Well, Ryan, how come you didn't ask Hudson Card to run more earlier in the year?
Well, I wasn't calling plays or involved in the offense early in the year. So now that I am, we're asking him to run some more.
What are you sort of looking for over these last 5 games?
We need to win, right? Like I do think that we have made improvements to set the foundation for long-term success. But those improvements and that type of progress has to show up in the win-loss column, and that is the nature of this business, and I'm fully aware of that. And so that's what I want to see these last 5 games. That we need to win, and in order to do so, you got to play competitive football. And so that's what I want to see, and that's what I expect to see.
You feel you got everything you need to succeed here?
Yes.
Just, as far as the quarterback play, you talked about using both those guys. In your mind, is there one thing you think one guy does better than the other, and then vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan is bigger, faster than Hudson, and Hudson can throw a little bit better than Ryan. I think they'll both kind of tell you that. It doesn't mean that Hudson can't run or isn't fast, and it doesn't mean that Ryan can't throw or isn't accurate. That's just, that is the strengths of the two of them.
Coach, at the beginning of the season, a couple times you mentioned trying to take a nameless, faceless approach to opponents. How did that hold up against a high-ranked team like Oregon and going into games like Ohio State and Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I thought in the Oregon game that guys, they fought throughout the game. Like, I didn't see anybody turn anything down. That is obviously it's the #1 team in the country, and you got to give credit where credit's due there. But I expect us to go fight and to go try to win a ball game when we play Ohio State, Penn State, Northwestern, Michigan State, and Indiana. Like that's why you play the game, is to go compete to win. It's not just to show up or to show face. It's to try to go compete to win, to put a plan together, prepare the right way, and then ultimately on game day, not make mistakes that make it hard to do so. So that's the mindset going into these last 5 games.
More questions for Coach? Back to Sam.
Jason said during the bye week it allowed you to maybe unlock some parts of the playbook that hadn't been opened yet. And when you have midseason change, obviously you're trying to learn things on the fly. He's trying to learn some things on the fly. But what were you maybe able to implement that could be to your advantage now that you've had a week off with no game?
Without diving, too much into
I don't expect you to tell me to play around or anything.
Yeah, but definitely have a couple wrinkles. Obviously, like having a guy like CJ back gives you, some different options that you might not have had prior to. And really, like the last 2 weeks offensively, we sort of set the foundation for how we want to operate, what type of plays we want to run. So just adding wrinkles off of those, formations, those actions, those motions, to just try to put, certain defenders in conflict. So that's what we've been ironing out and still evaluating the roster and finding out, how we can utilize certain guys' skill sets. Let's not ask somebody to do something that we didn't bring them here to do. Different things like that.
Any more questions? All right. Thanks, Coach.